So based on your resume, I wouldn't have expected you to do a post-apocalyptic movie.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what attracted you to the project?
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess based on my resume, it's like you know, and I really like the scale of movie I was working on, and I really liked the opportunity to do tell stories on that scale. But then I was like, well, I want to kind of work on a bigger palette. And when you do, you have several options. You can do a big movie that probably will be bad. I couldn't get a big movie that will probably be good where I was career-wise.
Yeah.
So basically, it was I could get a really big movie that would just if I told you you know what it was, you'd be like, that sounds like a horrible idea. You'll never work again. Maybe you'll make money for that specific movie, but you'll never work again. So then, I see a book like this, and it's a bigger movie. It allows me to explore things I want to explore. It has strong characters, great themes, and has a bit more scope. It allows me to do some things stylistically and filmically that I had not been able to do for a while or ever. So that's why I was attracted to it. But yeah.
Have people asked you about if there's a crossover between any of your movies? Is there kind of a through line there?
I guess when we were talking in LA, people were saying there's something about the guy in 50-50 being sick and the zombie being sick, but I was like, I don't want to compare that's one's a really serious real thing and another is a zombie.
Your style definitely comes through strongly, I think, throughout. You had be it this kind of I don't want to sound flowery, poetic unfolding of it, how the back and forth. It's fancy words, but
well, I think there are consistencies stylistically, and my first movie was kind of a similar thing, genre-wise. I took a genre and then kind of used it to explore something different. So
I guess most of your main characters are pretty young in all your movies.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah,
that's because I don't identify with anyone over 30, even though I'm myself over 30. But yeah, I think that's the opportunity also to talk about, to visit a time when you're young and you're facing facing a post-apocalyptic world. I think is really interesting too.
How about you guys, Analeigh? What attracted you to Warm Bodies?
I'm still always looking for work.
It was a job.
So it was a job, right?
Salary.
Period.
Just took it.
No, I had a meeting with one of the producers, and after that meeting, they asked if I would come in and read for the part of Nora, and I had not yet done a female role that was kind of so brave and a little bit bold and upfront with things. And also knowing that, the cast and Jonathan being attached to kind of yes, zombie film in general, I am still at that point where I could really easily be shoved into bad movies and be, make some money with that. I don't want to be there necessarily. And I trusted these people that they would make a good film with what they had.
Mm-hmm. So. How about the humor? You seem to be attracted to comedic roles, at least a little bit.
Yes, I think that they're interesting. I don't mean to search them out. I think that sometimes I say things that don't always come out right, and then people kind of laugh, but I think it's more... So I'm lucky in that people think that works. I'll stick with that for a while,
okay.
And then I'm not going to make any more alcoholic jokes. So.
Right. Cool. Dave, how about you? What do you think?
I mainly wanted to work with this guy. I was a huge fan of the Whackness, and then of course I love 50-50 too, but I had seen the Whackness a few times before this came about, and I don't know, at this point I want to work with just really good filmmakers regardless how big or small the role is, and with this particular role, I'm not on screen a ton, but up to this point, I've done primarily comedies, and I get to be a little more serious in this, and although my last few roles kind of been the asshole, and there is elements of that in this character, but like kind of the justifiable asshole in this one. But also you get to see his softer side too. He's kind of like vulnerable and sweet and in love with this girl, and you kind of see why he becomes hardened and like hell-bent on ending the zombie apocalypse. So yeah, the role was a little bit different, but I don't know. The main thing was just wanting to be part of an original movie that's trying to do something different.
Warm Bodies has bits of horror and comedy and romance, but also satire. And I wondered how important it was for you to bring the satire out.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question, because I think that that is incredibly important, and that is, you know, that was the core of Isaac's book, is like this central metaphor of what it means to be alive, and not only that, and then we take it to the point where, you know, I mean, those are some of my favorite parts of the movie, when like Nick's walking through the airport and you see all the people on their cell phones, and you start to question whether people are really living their lives, you know, in the moment on a day-to-day basis to the fullest. And then I really like, you know, there's other elements of satire, like when he's reading the Us Weekly, you know, and it's just like, you know, just little things where you're like, God, that was, you know, maybe the apocalypse isn't such a bad idea. Like, oh, we were stupid. We used to like all these some of these like relics of you know, today.
Yeah.
In a greater context seem so trivial, and I thought that was really interesting too.
Analeigh, could you tell us what your favorite part was?
I enjoyed the parts where I got to sit with Teresa and put makeup on Nick. I loved the John Malkovich gun thing, just because I think in 10 years, whether or not I'm still in this industry, I can look back and just to say, I held a gun to John Malkovich.
Yeah, that's your
and
moment,
maybe
right?
Not like explain it further.
Yeah.
It's all downhill.
Great.
Cool. Dave, how about you? What was your favorite?
I guess to go off that, I mean, it was pretty awesome being around Malkovich, and just, you know, when you first are in a room with him, it's kind of intimidating. He's John Malkovich, and you kind of have these ideas about him based on characters that he's played. But then when you're in front of him, he's like a goofy guy, you know. He'll spontaneously start, like, I remember he like started rapping one day. He's like just throwing out Dr. Dre lines, and he's just like this fascinating guy, even more so than you would think. Like, I didn't know that he was an opera singer. He has his own clothing line. Like,
He'd be designing ties.
He's unbelievable. So yeah, I mean, just being around guys like that is pretty incredible.
Yeah, I picture him just kind of ruling whatever room he walks into.
Sure, but
yeah, but he's soft-spoken too.
Exactly, I was gonna say.
Yeah. It's more, you know, it's like, was Malkovich rapping? I mean, he'll, you know.
What was he rapping?
Dr. Dre.
He likes
What
the
song?
Chronic. I don't remember. He knows the Chronic.
Yeah, he does.
Back and forth. Like,
Video too.
yeah, he did.
That's
he
right.
would also reenact some YouTube videos for us sometimes.
That's wild.
There is video of that somewhere in the world
Yes.
that'll never see the light of day. But
So is he your first choice for that role?
yeah,
Was he?
Is that right?
Malkovich.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally, man.
You got him, huh?
Yeah, we got him. I mean, he's got a great relationship with Summit as well.
Yeah.
Because he's he's so good in those Red movies too.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought we knew we had like a way to get to him.
Right.
But yeah, you know, I'm such a huge fan of his.
Cool.
And I just love the way he can just take something and make it completely his own, you know? It's just...
He like, doesn't have to do anything, and he's just got, like, so much intensity and so much going on, like, behind his eyes that he literally doesn't have to do anything, and you're just captivated. It's awesome. Yeah.
Nicholas Hoult he seems like a natural choice for the zombie just because, I mean, he has, like, deep-set eyes, like, intense. You can kind of feel the intensity from him.
Yeah.
Was he your first choice for R?
Well, I mean, with that role, it's like, you get you write the script and you're like, you know, part of me is like, well, this is never going to even happen because it's just so weird. Like,
Yeah.
and we're never going to find anyone to be the guy. Because it's like, you know, if you get someone too famous to be the guy, then it's just like that person as a zombie and it becomes really, really kind of distracting.
Right.
And then, so basically with Nick, like, you know, we had lists and lists of people, and we had thought about them, and And Nick, I remember, came in and met with the Summit guys and was like so excited about it. And I was like, wow, like, you know, and I went out to dinner with him, and he's like, you know, hopefully you'll get a chance to meet him. He's one of the sweetest, nicest people you've ever met. So, like, you sit down with him and you're like, I would like to spend 6 months with this guy. Like, that's great. But it was also like, he wasn't scared of it, you know?
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people would be. He wasn't like, he was like either too into it or just like, no, I mean, it didn't occur to him to be scared of it.
Mhm.
It didn't occur to him that like, if he messed it up, he would look like a complete, like whatever. Like, it just didn't occur, he just liked it. And so there was nothing scared about it. So and that empowered me to be like, let's go do this, you know? And then we did like a little working session where he grunted and groaned a little bit for me.
Right.
And it was, did that sound weird? That's what they call it in Hollywood, a work session.
Yeah, it's normal. It sounds normal.
I told him it was a work session.
But he's one of these guys, like you're saying, he's such a likable person, and you need that for this role because you gotta be rooting for this guy. He's while he's eating humans, he's killing people, and you're rooting for him just because he's like such a likable, like soft, nice person. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. Was when I read it, was like, how are they gonna honestly make any? Because Therese is this like beautiful thing. You need something that she definitely, it would be believable that she'd fall in love with.
Yes.
The first time I saw Nick was on the balcony doing a zombie. I was like, oh my god, he's adorable.
Yeah.
This is really,
Totally.
He's like a zombie puppy.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, the cast was cool. Like Rob and like everybody.
Lots of good people. Lots of great people doing a lot with what they really
Everyone did great in their roles.
Yeah, the cast seemed to really get along.
Yeah.
Like there was good chemistry between
Yeah, totally.
So
I don't know. I've always had that. I've always been lucky that way.
Yeah.
That I think it's partially because I like to cast people based on that they seem kind of cool. like that. There's like, obviously I want like the best actor for the role, but like it is important to me that people are cool and seem easy to get along with.
Luck though, because you have a good energy on set that you bring to the work.
Maybe that's
100%.
Most directors can get super stressed, and you're very laid back, and you seem to trust people with what they're doing too. You're encouraging and funny.
Yeah, on sets in general, it's like everyone's kind of feeding off the director's energy, and if you're having a good time, it's like, I mean, we're all gonna have fun too, and especially when I think the first day I was on set, I remember you literally, I did like a take that you liked, and you came jumping out of your chair, pumping your fist. You're like, we got it, we got it.
I got pretty psyched.
Great.
Because it's fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I don't think I can take as much credit as you guys give me, but thank you.
John, I wondered if you thought about taking the movie in a little bit of a different direction. Like, did you try to go, or did you consider trying to go for a hard R and getting really violent with it?
Well, no, I didn't, because I wanted part of the reason I made this movie is because I wanted a bunch of people to see it, and I think that I always want, like, we shot an R-rated movie, definitely, so I always wanted to like have the MPAA tell me what was a PG-13 and what was an R. I didn't want to be scared and like overcompensate. Mm-hmm. I wanted to get away with as much as I could, but I did know that like I would alienate a lot of the audience if I went for a hard R. I also think that it's like in many ways, to me this movie's modeled more after like early Zemeckis movies or Gremlins or stuff like that, where it's like it's not about, it's not about, as much as I wanted to do it in a grounded way, it's not about that, So no, I never really wanted a hard R. I just didn't want it to seem like we pussied out anywhere. So that the way I was able to do that was just shoot an R-rated movie and cut it to a PG-13.
What was the hardest thing to take out, because it would have been R otherwise?
Well, the eating of the brains is just filthy, disgusting.
Right, what are the brains made of?
They're just gelatin, I think.
Jello?
Yeah. And then but the eating of the brains was pretty messed up. There's a lot of really, I don't know if we'll ever do like an R-rated DVD of it, but it gets pretty foul.
You should. The fans love it.
Yeah.
The director's cuts.
Yeah.
Is there one fuck in the movie?
There's one fuck.
What is it again?
Cordry says fuck.
Okay.
It's switched. Like Malkovich had the fuck for a while, and then I gave it to Cordry.
Okay. Is it a funny moment? I can't quite.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. It's a good fuck.
Yeah.
It's like a B- fuck.
Okay. All right.
It's a good one.
Passing grade fuck.
It's a passing grade fuck.
Okay.
Yeah. Analeigh, you're just starting out with your acting career. Can you tell us what your dream role would be?
No, I can't, honestly, because I think that with everything that I read, I trust that someone else right now can think of something that I haven't even, can't possibly imagine. And there's no historic. I would love to do something space-based, just because I love space. And I think
Sci-fi.
that's pretty cool, but I think it could also be terrible. So that's like my childhood, fantasy. But I think that I keep reading just interesting female roles, and so to peg one would just kind of be limiting it at this point. I'm just glad to read them.
Is there a movie that you wish that you were in, maybe recently?
I just did a movie that I was pretty stoked to be in. I think that would be like the movie that I wished. So I'm glad that I got to do that. So we'll see if that goes well. Then I'll let you know on it. The next time around.
Cool.
Sounds good. I missed out on.
Real quick, because you do write too, right?
I do.
Do you write roles for yourself?
I started initially doing that, but I also think that can be limiting because when I was trying to write too much I needed to actually step back from that. So yeah.
But could we all collaborate on an Analeigh in space script?
I don't see why not.
We need to do that.
That sounds good.
Went to space camp, an aviation camp.
We could do a remake.
Space Camp.
I bet we could remake Space Camp, no
Yeah.
problem. That's a done deal. 2 phone calls, that shit is on.
Yeah.
That's making me really happy. It hasn't been discussed yet.
That's awesome. Dave, how about you? Is there a role that you can think of that you really wish you had done, or
that I wish I had done?
movie that you wish you were in?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is like a script that I read that immediately I was laughing out loud, that I was like, I would love to do this part, but it was so wrong for me, and the guy who got cast was perfect for it, was Paul Dano's role in Little Miss Sunshine. But it was just like, he was awesome, and it wasn't even right for me, but I like to believe, sometimes you like to believe that you can do shit that's completely outside of yourself, but in reality, there's like a handful of actors who transform themselves completely, and of course everyone has their range to an extent, but I don't know, I want to do a movie for example, Into the Wild, where it seems like they just kind of went out there and it was like, alright, maybe there's no scene or dialogue written out, let's just go out here, let's find some shit, let's find some cool visuals, and let's just get after it. I know that Sean Penn, I read something where going down, there's a scene where Emile Hirsch goes down the rapids or whatever, and they're pretty vicious, and I think Sean Penn was like, alright, Emile, I'm gonna go down this, I'm actually gonna do this to show you that it's possible, but then you're doing this for real. And I think he got a little messed up, but I like that they just kind of dive into it and really get into it, and I would love to do something like that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, thanks so much, you guys.
Thank you. Yeah.